Hello, everybody. We're so sorry about the delay to our start. We had a few technical issues, but hopefully you can all see us now. But my name's Ali, and tonight we're going to be speaking to you about T-levels and how we can support you. So I am the team leader for 14 to 18, and tonight I'm joined by Brian, who is our assistant principal, and Emma, who is our industry placement team leader. And a little bit about the college. So North Warwickshire and South Leicestershire College, or more commonly known as Nwslc, is a large further education college offering a wide range of full-time, part-time, T-levels, higher education and apprenticeship programmes over 7 different campuses based within Warwickshire and Leicestershire. So my lovely participants and guests this evening. So Emma, this is your first Facebook Live. So I was wondering if you could just introduce yourself and what you do at the college a little bit.
Yep, no problem, Ali. So I'm the team leader for industry placements at the college. So we have a team of industry placement advisors who work with our T-level students across the course of their qualification to support them during their industry placement journey, all the way from start to finish.
Brilliant, amazing. Thank you so much, Emma, for explaining what your role is within the college. Now, Brianne, I know you've joined us on one of these before, so I know there might be a few new people out there who might not have met you yet. So if you could give us like an outline of what you do at the college as well, that'd be great. Thank you.
So my name's Brianne, as Ali has said. So I'm an assistant principal and I look after our education programs for young people. So anyone that's on a study program, normally aged between 16 to 18, T-levels fall into those, so they fall within my remit, and I manage the curriculum teams that deliver those T-levels.
Brilliant, thank you so much for that. So we've said that word an awful lot now, T-levels, and they are very new. So I'm wondering, Emma, could you explain what is a T-level?
Yes, so a T-level, like Ali's just said, is a new style of qualification, and it's an alternative for school leavers once they've finished their GCSE. It's an alternative to A-levels, apprenticeships or other level 3 qualifications. So whereas an A-level is more focused on academic subjects, T-levels are focused on technical and vocational subjects, and it gives you the opportunity to really focus in on that area that you're interested in. So whereas an A-level, with A-level study, you would pick a variety of subjects, with T-levels you'd be focused on one specific subject. So it's great for students that have already got a good idea of where they want their career to go. They're 2 years in length, just like an A-level, and they are equivalent to 3 A-levels in terms of the outcome of the qualification. One of the sort of unique things about T-levels is that the content has been designed by employers and industry experts so that the teaching is really relevant to that specific industry, and it's really going to help prepare students to go and work in that industry.
That sounds fantastic, because it's almost like the government are now looking at those skills gaps that we have in the country and, you know, actually putting a curriculum together. So what those young people will learn in the classrooms is what businesses actually want them to know, so they're fully prepared for that working world. That's amazing. Thank you for that, Emma.
Definitely.
So, yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it's a good combination. It's a nice mix of classroom-based learning and then the industry placement element, which takes place in a real-life workplace. So you may have heard that apprenticeships are sort of 80% on-the-job training and 20% college delivery. A T-level sort of the exact reverse of that. So 80% of your time will be spent in college and 20% with an external employer, getting that hands-on experience alongside your studies.
I think as well, because obviously it's about that young person finding the right course that's suitable for them. And I think that, you know, not everyone finishing school will be necessarily ready for an apprenticeship. It's a big step up, you know, going out into the working world, being treated like an employee, completing all their qualification as well. So they might not be quite ready to do that, or maybe they might just enjoy the academic side as well as a bit of practical. So it really does mix those two elements up, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Lovely. So Brianne, I'm wondering, so how does a T-level fit with NWSLC curriculum?
So when I think of what we offer, I mean, we've just talked quite a lot about skills gaps. So we offer a range of T-levels, and they actually fit in quite nicely into the skills that we've got in the region across Warwickshire and Leicestershire. So our current offering is business, digital, healthcare and childcare. And we will be delivering the T-level in media from September 2024. So we've got a good spread there in terms of the different careers that you can move into. And behind those, we've also got a range of transition programs. So a transition program is kind of a preliminary to a T-level. So if you think of education programs, we have kind of entry level all the way through to level 3 and then on to higher education. Transitions run in a similar way. So transition is a level 2 qualification that sits just before the T-level, but is structured in a similar way to a T-level in terms of the industry placements that Emma and her team look after, that curriculum, that core curriculum element, and the extra skills that you need for employment. We are looking to offer more as they come through, and as the government announce new ones, we're always looking to see if we can broaden kind of our portfolio of T-levels as well.
That's very interesting. And if anyone knows me, they know I'm very, very nosy and I like to go around snooping, which I have been doing. So I had a little wander around and I've noticed that at the college, we've actually got some really cool facilities going up as well for those particular areas. So I believe I saw a medical wing being set up for the health T-level. I also saw we've got a childcare classroom as well, digital labs being sorted. So there really are, not only have they got that industry placement kind of side, but they've also got that element at college where they can learn things in the safe environment within the college and not feel that too pressurized. And they can also do it under the watchful eyes of our tutors, which I will remind everyone that our tutors are from industry, so they know what they're talking about, and they're really willing to share those experiences and their expert knowledge with the future workforce. What also is quite interesting about that as well, Brianne, because this is a conversation that I know a lot of parents and guardians have asked us as well, you know, entry requirements, those entry requirements. So for the T-levels, it does depend, doesn't it, on what T-level you pick as to what grade you need, but you do need to be achieving those 4s as a minimum in your maths and English. If you don't achieve those, you do have to continue those on, but we do support young people to be able to complete those at college, and we have quite a unique way of doing them as well, to help support those young people with achieving those grades that they need. So that transition program is very interesting. I think that's a real good kind of starting point for those young people who might have not necessarily achieved those grades that they really wanted, but are interested in those areas.
Absolutely. I mean, as you were saying about facilities, so the government has granted us some money in order to kind of update our facilities. You're right, absolutely. We've got a mock ward, we've got a mock nursery, we've got digital labs, business labs. We are yet to spend the money for media, but we will be looking at kind of hosting a range of new facilities there. And our transition learners will have access to that just as much as our T-level learners will.
Thank you so much for that. It all sounds very exciting. So I'm going to go back to you, Emma, because you spoke about, you know, the T-level being a level 3 qualification. So can you go to university after you've studied a T-level?
Yes, so a T-level is equivalent to 3 A-levels and it is awarded UCAS points. It is a new qualification, but many universities across the country accept T-levels as part of their entry requirements. And because it's a new qualification, the government departments, say the Department for Education, are doing a lot of work with universities to raise their awareness of T-levels and help educate them on the qualifications so that they can include them into their entry requirements. Now, some advice that we always give young people who are thinking of going on to study at university is, if you've got a specific university in mind already, then it's always a good idea to contact their admissions department and check their formal entry requirements, even at this stage, because it might be that a specific course that you want to do has got really niche entry requirements, and so it's always best to find that out now before you commit to the next level of study.
That's some really good advice, Emma. Yeah, definitely get out there, go check with, if you've got that dream university, always make sure you check their entry requirements. But like Emma said, a lot of universities are working with the government as well. We've been in contact as well as a college provider with universities, because some universities haven't been quite sure about what is actually delivered. Does it fit with their qualifications? So we're actually ourselves, we're working very closely with universities as well, to ensure that our students have those next step progressions, which is really important. So I'm going to go back to you, Brianne, because this all sounds incredibly exciting. I wish I was younger and I could do a T-level. How do you apply for this, and when can you do that?
So we would advise that you go through our normal application process. So there's no specific special process, I should say, for T-levels exactly. So it's just applying via our website. I think if you need any more advice on that, we've actually done a Facebook Live about applying to be a student. So please feel free to refer back to that. You'll be invited in for an interview and some taster sessions, and absolutely sound advice from Emma in terms of, if you know what you want to do, that's your opportunity to discuss that with your tutor. We're all about right learner, right course. So we will be really honest in terms of if we think the T-level is going to be super challenging and actually we need to work with you on something before. That's not us saying you can't do the T-level, that's us saying let's step back, let's do something else really, really well first, so you're really well prepared to achieve the best you can in your T-level. So as I said, it's always right learner, right course for us, and we'll be guiding you through the process. So once you've made that application, you'll be contacted. We will support you and invite you in for those interviews and taster sessions, and then before you know it, it's going to be August, September, and you'll be in for enrollment, and then next steps into induction, and then starting with us. And Emma and her team will be there as well to support in terms of finding those industry placements.
You know what, we've kind of said that word quite a lot tonight, haven't we? Industry placements. Emma, can you please explain what is an industry placement? What does that word mean?
Yes, of course. So an industry placement is a really core component of every T-level qualification. And basically, it's a substantial work placement across the 2 years that will be in your chosen industry of study. So approximately you'd be looking at 315 hours of placement across the 2 years. That is higher if you choose our education and childcare T-level, because it involves a license to practice and there's a set number of hours that have to be achieved. So it goes up to 750 hours across the 2 years. Now, off the top of your head, that sounds like a lot of hours, but the way that we timetable it into the T-level is really manageable, and our childcare students absolutely love their placements and really look forward to going every week. So I mentioned earlier that all of our T-level students will be allocated an industry placement advisor, and that advisor will work with each student throughout the course of their T-level, right from induction, to introduce them to the industry placement element of the course, so that all students know exactly what's required of them, what they're going to be doing, what type of employer they might be working with. They'll work with them in college to develop employability skills so that each student is adequately prepared for the work placement and feels confident, ready to start. They'll then monitor the placement throughout the course, so they'll be checking in with students regularly, going out to visit them in the workplace to see how they're getting on, and developing their progress throughout their placement.
I was actually thinking then, can you imagine if you just had to go straight into an industry placement with no kind of experience previously? That's really good to hear, Emma. So, you know, we have a full team that are going to support these young people with, you know, the skill set like answering a telephone within an office environment, how to conduct yourself as well, because, you know, it's more than likely that these young people have never been in that kind of environment and maybe never even experienced that. So these are all things that your staff will teach as well. So I think that's really handy. And you know what? Those softer employability skills are so important, especially for the future as well, when they're going into their dream career pathways. So it's really handy. It's also quite nice to hear as well that it's not work experience where, you know, you're just going to be serving cups of tea and biscuits and, you know, having to run around and do all of those kind of boring medial tasks. You're actually getting involved with projects and those kind of exciting things that you can really get your teeth kind of stuck into, and also to be able to get those projects and that experience, you can add that to your CV as well, can't you? So very exciting. Now, my other question to you, Emma, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Would you earn a wage if you did an industry placement during your T-level?
So with the industry placement being an element of the qualification, there isn't an obligation for employers to pay students because they're there on a placement rather than being an employed member of staff. So that's where it's different to an apprenticeship training programme. Some employers may choose to pay students, and they are allowed to do that if they want to do that. Students may also be eligible for financial support with placement costs, so things like travelling to and from placement, lunch money, uniforms may be eligible for that as well. Also, if students are working part-time in their industry that they're studying in, then they may be able to use that as the placement if their employer is happy to work with us, set the learners some learning objectives so that they can be expanding their knowledge in their workplace, then that's a possibility as well.
I think, to be honest with you, the experience sounds like it's priceless anyway, doesn't it? And I know from speaking to students as well, we've obviously been running industry placements and piloting them for quite a while now. So we have, as a college, we work with over 600 employers, so we have got those kind of key contacts with employers, and we will help those young people to get those industry placements, but also it's those experiences that they're going to gain that are going to be so essential, aren't they? So, and previous students that have done the industry placement and piloted them, I believe quite a few have managed to get their foot in the door and even managed to get themselves a full-time job at the end of it, which is amazing, really good. So that's a absolutely massive success for those young people who have achieved that. So Brianne, I'm going to come back to you because all of that sounds amazing. It sounds really interesting. However, are there any assessments kind of from the curriculum side? What kind of assessments do you have to do?
Yeah, so as with all qualifications, there is going to be some kind of assessment in there to make sure that that knowledge that you've kind of learned, those skills, knowledge, behaviours have all kind of set in, and that you can kind of produce them when you need to. So it depends on what kind of subject it is, which T-level you go on to as to what the exacts are in terms of the assessment. But what they all have is core elements such as project-based assessments. So those project-based assessments are linked in with employers. You're working on live briefs, they're set by the awarding body, but they're built by these massive employers that come in and help support doing that. We also do exams. I know it's not everyone's favorite assessment type. However, the way that we deliver those exams within the T-level is that instead of it being exams at the end of a couple of years, we do it on a modular basis. So we will prep you for those exams on the run up to, then you'll be examined at the end of the first year, and it's the same happens in the second year. So there are some exams, but it is definitely more modular than linear. So we do break it down and assess as we go. So when it comes to your assessments, you're graded. So the core elements of the T-level are graded on A star to E, which will probably sound familiar to most young people because it does sound a lot like the GCSE grading conventions. So yeah, graded A star to E, and then your occupational specialism is graded at pass, merit, distinction, distinction star, which is actually something that's quite a common way of assessing in general FE colleges at level 3 and level 2 study. So at the end of that, you will get an overall qualification. Your industry placement hours will be added in there and check that that's been achieved and everything that needs to be done there has been completed, plus your core elements, plus your occupational specialism. So you get, instead of one qualification, you get a mixture of all of those put together that gives you that T-level overall. And then, as we've said, kind of your next steps following that, the great thing about the way the T-levels are built is they prepare you for whatever industry you're going into. So if you're going into higher education, you're going to have exams, you're going to have projects, you're going to have assignments. If you're going to do higher apprenticeships, you're going to have exams, you're going to have assignments, you're going to have projects. And the same with employment, not so much the exams, but definitely kind of the project-based work. So the T-levels have been designed to assess you in a way that then mirrors what is expected in your next steps, whether that is university, higher apprenticeships, employment. So they've really been thought about and considered.
It's very well rounded. A lot of thought has gone into these T-levels, and obviously a lot of work has gone into the T-levels as part of the college as well. We've actually had a very good question on the chat. I'm hoping, Emma, that you might be able to help me with this one. Yes, if there are any employers that are currently listening, and if you are interested in supporting the future workforce, yes, you can get in contact with us. One of my colleagues will pop an email address into the chat so you can get into contact with us, find out a bit more information. But the question that's come through is from an employer who has an apprenticeship currently, what is the difference between having an apprentice and a T-level industry placement student?
So an apprentice would be have a contract of employment with their employer and be working on a training contract, and they'd typically spend 80% of their time with that employer in the workplace, learning the knowledge and skills as they go along, and then 20% of the time doing in-college learning, whether that's in a block release model or a day release model. The difference with T-levels is that those students studying a T-level are classed as full-time college students. So most of their learning takes place in college, and then they go out on an industry placement to gain those practical skills, knowledge and behaviours alongside their college-based studies.
Thank you for that, Emma. I did put you on the spot a bit. We've had a couple of more questions come through. So an employer's actually mentioned, so if they decide to stop the placement, what happens?
So with the support of the team, you have put me on the spot. So going back, I have put you on the spot.
I think, from an employer's perspective, I think that, that a placement can end for many different reasons. And I think, the main thing that we would want is to be able to help to support that young person, won't we? So I think, we could always look at alternative placements as well for them to be able to gain those experiences. So, for example, with the current, with some businesses in the current marketplace as well, they might be concerned that, if they have a student for over 2 years, they might not necessarily be able to guarantee that they could support that young placement for a full 2 years. What I would say is Emma and her team are absolutely fantastic. It is about it being the right fit for the employer, but also for that young person as well. So if that requires block training, so maybe they come over to you for a couple of weeks at a time rather than 1 day a week, that is something that we can work with. Obviously, it's about making sure that both sides are happy and both sides are well supported. So as an employer, if you did say, you know, you weren't able to support that that student anymore, that industry placement student, that is something that we would be able to speak to you about. You'd be in continual conversations. Emma and her team are so fantastic. They go out, they visit the students, you know, we check up on them, we make sure that they're happy, you're happy as well. So those are things that could always be discussed along the lines, and those are things that we would support the employer with, and also that young person, because we do want them to achieve. Would you agree, Emma?
Yeah, and there are different delivery models that we can take with placements. So there are project-based routes. Students can split their hours across multiple employers across the 2 years. So the team would do everything they can to make sure that students are matched to the best placement for them, so that it's a really good fit for the student and for the employer. So we would hope that that would lead to a happy, successful placement. If something went wrong and on either side the placement broke down, it's not the end of the world. We would, like Ali said, support that young person to then find another employer setting to finish their placement with.
Thank you so much for that, Emma. I know you and the team do an absolutely incredible job supporting the employers and also those young people as well. It is always, you know, as a college, we do care. It's about that young person finding the correct course for them. And that is why, you know, Brianne said, for example, we will be honest with you. If you come and speak to us, we will be honest with you and we'll make sure that it is correct and it fits in with your pathway. Brianne, I've actually had a question come through off a young person. They've actually asked, what happens if they leave after a year? What would they get if they did a T level?
Good question. The T level is a 2-year program. So it would be a case of we can bank some credit, but we wouldn't be able to give a full qualification. It's the same with many study programs, to be perfectly honest. You are signing up for a 2-year program. And again, we would be perfectly honest and upfront with you about that. But you would have the experience of an industry placement for a year. So you've got kind of those employability skills in the background, plus kind of any of the smaller qualifications that we put in. So with some of our transition and T-level programs, we actually put smaller qualifications in there. So it might be that you've got to the end of that year and you've still got those small qualifications and some credit towards. We would be honest and say it is a 2-year program and we want you for 2 years. But if you got to the end of the first year, and I don't think you would, but you decide actually T-level's not for me, I want to go and do an apprenticeship or I want to go and do something else, come and speak to us, because we will always support you with those next steps anyway. We have a great information, advice and guidance team that will be able to support you through it. And equally, if you are deciding after a year for whatever reason that you're struggling or you're not enjoying it, again, come and speak to us, because there might be something that we can do to make that feel better for you in the second year. But the crude end of it is very little, but you would probably still have the opportunity to go and do something else somewhere else or with us in a different department. But if it's for reasons of not enjoying it, it doesn't feel right, come and speak to us, because we'll be able to support.
Brilliant. That's a great answer. But also, you know what actually fits in with that as well? If you are a young person and you're not sure what you want to do, that's totally fine. I'm heading towards 40. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. All I know is I love my job. I absolutely love it. So, and that's why I do it. So for you, what I'd recommend is getting out there, going out and seeing the colleges, going and speaking to your possible future tutors, go and meet them, because that's when you'll get a sense and a feel for the community of that college and whether it's right or not for you. But also as well, we did speak about those transition programs as well, because, you know, for those young people who, you know, maybe you have achieved the grades and you've done exceptionally well, but you're not sure what you want to do. Maybe you could look at a year's transition program where you have a go, you give it a go for a year, and then you switch on to the T level, which is the full year. There are so many options for you out there. What I'd say is try not to be overwhelmed, just come and speak to us. Like Brianne said, we're here to support you. If you don't ask, you don't get. So come and have a chat with us and we'll be able to help support you with that.
And
So-
sorry, Ali, just jump on. Equally, we've got open days in June, which I know at some point you're going to definitely say, Ali, but we have got open days, and the T-level team will be there. So Emma and her team will be there, and all the teachers that deliver on those programs will also be there. So they will be honest, and they'll give you some really good advice. But it gives you a chance to meet the people that are going to guide you on those 2 years and are going to be there for you. Come and get a feel for it, because it could be the one thing that changes everything moving forward.
Perfect advice. That's how I decided. I think, you know, you don't really know what you're getting into till you've actually gone and visited and actually seen what it's about. And, you know, as a college provider, we are so much more, we have so much more support as well. We have our student support teams, we have pastoral teams, we have chaplaincies, we have on-site counsellors. We really are there for our students, and we want them to be as successful as they possibly can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to you, Emma. Can you tell me what the benefits are? So, I mean, I've heard quite a few, but could you sum up the benefits of doing a T-level?
I think the T-level gives some really unique benefits for students. And I think the main thing is that blend of the classroom-based learning and the industry experience. So a lot of feedback that I hear from students is that they really enjoy their placement because it gives them a chance to put into practice what they've been learning in college, but then at the same time they then see examples of what they've been learning in their actual placement, which helps to further reinforce their knowledge. So for example, our childcare students have been learning around different theories of child development, and they've come to me and said, oh, last week I saw this in placement and it really helped my understanding of this theory or that theory. So it's really nice to close that circle and see that it's sort of mutually beneficial. I think it's a great opportunity for students to build their CV. So they're gaining a qualification, but they're also getting that experience at the same time. It's a real confidence booster for young people who might not have had any previous work experience or likely to not have had any experience in that industry that they're studying in. So it's a really good opportunity to do that. We work with a whole range of employers, some sort of big global or national companies, ranging to smaller or medium local businesses. So we have a whole host of different employers that we work with, and whilst you're in placement, it gives you a chance to identify that type of job role that you want to do in the future, but also build a network within that industry. So you'll meet lots of different people on placement. So it's a really good opportunity for you to build your network, get some careers advice from people that are working in industry, to really help you on that path to progression.
Yeah, a lot of benefits there. Thank you so much for that, Emma. I'm just checking, and another question has popped up. So Amanda has asked, do we offer a T-level for engineering design?
Yeah, as I say, I'll take that one. Yeah, so we do the development and design T-level for engineering. We are looking at other pathways, but that seems to be kind of what is in need, especially. And we are running a transition program in engineering from September as well. So again, if you just don't quite meet the qualifications we need for that T-level, or you're coming onto the transition, you can do the transition with us for a year and think, actually, I might want to go and do an apprenticeship, or I might want to go into a T-level. That level 2 transition program gives you the chance. It is what it says, it's a transition. So it's about learning what you want to do just as much as learning about the subject. But yes, we do offer the design engineering T-level.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Brianne. And I'd like to thank both my guests for appearing here today with me, and for your time, and also for everyone that is watching as well. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'd just like to quickly mention, as Brianne said I would, I'm here mentioning it. If you want to learn more about T-levels, please feel free to come and visit our open events in June. So our next open event is Monday, the 26th of June for our Wigston and Hinckley campus, and Tuesday, the 27th of June for Nuneaton, Harrowbrook and our MTI campus. For more information regarding the open events, click on the link in the comments, and thank you so much for joining us on our Facebook Live. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Ali.
Bye, thank you.